Today we're going to learn the etiquette and procedures for traveling by air. This is a presentation for students. First of all, when you get to the airport, make sure that you stay out of the way of the walking path. Never stop in the middle of hallways. Move to the side so that you don't get in the way of other travelers. It's important that you're sensitive to the others around you while they're seated and that you do not hog up seats and store your belongings on seats that could be used by other travelers. Never leave your belongings unattended in the airport. That's actually against airport rules. You could have your bags confiscated if you leave them sitting by themselves. It's important that we always walk through the airport, never run. If you use moving sidewalks and escalators, the left side is reserved for those who wish to walk or move faster, and then the right side is for those that wish to stand. So if you're not moving, make sure you're on the right side of the escalators or moving sidewalks. Always be courteous to others. That you know, if you have a backpack on or something, try not to bump into people with your backpack. If you do accidentally bump into someone, say, "Excuse me." Never, ever, ever cut in line. That's when you're boarding the plane, going to a restaurant, a snack bar, and you're standing in line. Even if you know somebody that's in the line, it doesn't give you permission to cut the line. If you want to stand with your friend, then ask your friend to move back to the spot where you are standing in the line. Never move up in the line. All right, you're going to have to go through security when you travel, and so you're going to be going through metal detectors, and you're going to have to remove many items and put them in buckets. First of all, when you're in line, stay in line. Do not get out of the line and go talk to other people or go to snack bars or things like that. And then talk quietly to the people around you. Don't yell. When you're in contact or near the TSA officers, never joke with them, particularly about things like bombs or stuff like that. They don't take those jokes lightly. You could end up getting yourself in big trouble. You're going to have to take your shoes off to go through security, or sandals if you're wearing those. And you can place those directly on the moving belt, or you can put them inside of one of the boxes that you see here. You're also going to empty out everything in your pockets into a box that's going to go through a scanner, an x-ray machine. Any sort of backpacks or bags will go through that. You can just set those directly on the belt. If you happen to have a laptop, that needs to go in a separate box by itself. It cannot be placed with other items. Everything else that you can have can be piled up into one box, though. When you get to the metal detector, wait to move through the metal detector until the agent invites you to walk through. You're going to need to have your boarding pass in your hand ready to show to the officer as you walk through the metal detector. So don't place your boarding pass or your ticket on the belt or in the boxes to go through the scanner. You're not allowed to bring water through security, so you're going to have to finish your water bottles or throw those away before you get to the security checkpoint. Now, once you get on the other side of the scanner and you're getting your items back, it's polite to move out of the way so that other travelers can grab their stuff and move on. So get your stuff, kind of pile it off to the side, get out of the way of the other people, stack up your bucket, your box, and put your shoes on so that you're not obstructing the path of other people that might want to move past you. Make sure you say thank you to the TSA officers. They're there to keep you safe. Now, before you get on the plane, you'll be in the gate area, and it's a smart idea to use the bathroom before you get on the plane. That way you can avoid using the little teeny tiny bathrooms that are on the plane. They're not very comfortable, and there's very few bathrooms for a lot of people to share. So it's smart to use the bathroom in the airport. When you're boarding the plane, wait until the airline employee instructs you that it's your turn to begin boarding. They will call your seat by different sections of the plane. The adults that you're with can help you to know when it's time to get on, but don't just rush up to the ticket counter there and try to give your ticket before you're invited. And then make sure you do have your boarding pass in hand when you walk up to the to board the plane. Do not have it, in your bag or in a pocket or something like that. Have it in your hand ready to go so you don't hold up the people behind you. You're going to go down a jetway, most likely, that will take you directly to the door of the plane. This is a little tunnel, and you need to walk down that tunnel and not run. When you get on the plane, find your seat right away, and be aware of the fact that you probably are going to have a lot of people behind you that are waiting for you to sit down and get out of the way. So what you want to do as soon as you find your seat is get out of the aisle and allow the people behind you to pass before you try to put your bag up in the storage compartment, the overhead storage compartments. Let the people behind you get out of the way first and move on back to their seats, and that way you won't be holding up the boarding of the plane. To let you know the way that the seat assignments are, normally the seats by the windows are the letter A seat, and then the other window is the highest letter, so an E or an F or whatever. And there's little signs right above the seats, up by your head, that give the letters and the seat assignments. Again, ask an adult if you need help knowing which seat is exactly yours. Before you put your bag away in the overhead compartment, it's important that you remove any items that you wish to use during the flight. This way, you will not have to be getting up and down and bothering the other passengers to get things out of your bag. It's okay to do that maybe once during the flight, but you don't want to have to be doing it all the time. So it's smart that as soon as you sit down or before you sit down, that you pull out your iPod, your book, any kind of games that you're going to want to be playing on the plane, instead of leaving those in your bag. It's also important that you stow your items in the bin that's right over the top of your seats, or if you can't find any space there, try to find a spot that's closer to the front of the plane from your seat. That way, when the plane is being when everybody's leaving the plane, exiting the plane, you won't have to work your way backwards through the crowded aisles to try to get your bags out and remove those. Make sure that when you put your bags up in the overhead bins that you turn them in a way that uses up the least amount of space possible, so that you're sharing the space with the other passengers on the plane. When you put your bags in the overhead bins, you do not shut the bins. You wait for the stewardesses, the flight attendants, to come along and shut those bins before the plane takes off. But don't you shut the overhead bins. And it's also important that you do not switch seats. There might be a situation where you will be able to switch seats with other passengers, but you need to make sure you get permission to do that from one of the chaperones on the trip. When you're on the plane, sit and talk quietly with your neighbor to either side of you. Try not to have a discussion with people behind you or in front of you where you're needing to yell and bothering the other passengers on the plane. So just talk to the people on the left and right side of you and enjoy the conversation with them. You might get to know somebody new. And do not place any of your personal items on the aisle in the middle there, even right next to your seat, outside of your chair if you're sitting on the aisle. No items, no backpacks, anything like that. They're liable to cause someone to trip, or they might get ruined by the cart that comes down the middle aisle. You're going to have an armrest, and you need to share that with the person that's sitting next to you. If you are on the aisle or by the window, it's nice if you can give the armrest to the person that's kind of stuck in the middle there and let them have both armrests, so you just kind of lean out away from them and use one of the armrests. All right, you're going to be able to stow some belongings, like if you have a small bag, a purse, a backpack, something like that, can be shoved under the seat in front of you. The seat that you're sitting in, the space underneath that does not belong to you. That belongs to the person behind you. So you would put any belongings that you want to stow in front of you, under where your feet would go. When it's time for the plane to take off, the stewardesses, the flight attendants are going to be giving you instructions. One of the things you're going to need to do is move your tray in the upright position and lock that into place. You also need to move your chair in an upright position, and any sort of electronics should be turned off, iPods, cell phones, and so on. And then of course you have to fasten your seat belt for takeoff. And then the flight attendants are going to be giving directions, as well as sometimes the captain of the plane will come on the intercom. When that's going on, nobody should be talking. You should be completely silent and listening, or if you already know what they're talking about, then making it quiet so that you allow others to hear the directions that are given. If you're sitting next to someone that you don't know, make sure you leave that person alone unless they seem interested in talking to you. Be real careful with the seats of the other passengers around you. Don't kick the seats. Don't knee the seats. Don't bump them. And if you do bump the seats when you're getting in and out of your chair, then say excuse me to the people that are sitting in those other seats. And just be real sensitive to that, especially when you're getting in and out of your seat, that you're not grabbing the seat in front of you and jerking it around, or maybe pulling someone's hair or something like that. It's real easy to do in those tight quarters, so you need to be very careful. When you're in flight, you want to keep your seatbelt fastened at all times. Even if the seatbelt sign is turned off, it's safer that way. There's going to be a flight attendant call button directly above your head. I don't want you ever to use that button. If you need something, talk to an adult chaperone. If the chaperone feels like a flight attendant needs to be called, then they'll hit that button or direct you to do so. But you should never push the button on your own, deciding to do that on your own. Now, they'll probably come around offering drinks to everyone, and when the flight attendants comes to your seat, you need to speak loud and clearly so that they can understand you. Usually you're going to say something like, do you have, and then, Coke, or do you have orange juice, or whatever. And then if they say yes, then they'll give that to you. And make sure you always say thank you when they hand you your drink. And as the flight attendants come back around with a bag for trash, pick your trash up and hand it to them, or drop it in the bag, and make sure you say thank you again. And before your drink is given to you, make sure you set your tray table down so that the flight attendant can set your drink directly on your tray table. And again, say thank you to the flight attendant. It's important that you stay seated as much as possible during the entire flight and not be getting up and walking around. Just try to keep that to as much of a minimum as you can, because it's such tight quarters on the plane, and it can become a bother to the other people that are there. If you do have to sneeze or cough, again, you're in real tight quarters, so it's important that you cover your mouth, that you cover your nose. Probably use more than just your hand. Sneeze into your arm, or even into your shirt or something like that, so that you're not infecting the other passengers around you. Above your head, you're going to have a personal light button and a personal air button. You can use those for reading, or if it's getting a little stuffy where you're sitting, you can turn on the air. The food is normally offered on flights, but they're charging for the food these days, and usually the price of the food is pretty expensive. And so if you don't want the food, just simply say no thank you. And if you do want food, then you need to have the exact change to pay for that food. Usually the food's going to cost at least $8 for a small meal. It's normally not a very big meal. All right, when the flight attendants are passing out drinks and food, they're going to have a cart that's going down the aisle, and you need to be aware that when that cart is in the aisle. When the flight attendants are bringing the cart down the aisle, don't expect to go around that cart to get to the bathroom or back to your seat from the bathroom. You're just going to have to be patient and wait. If you're at the bathroom, step aside, get out of the way, and wait until that cart passes you to move through the aisles. Using the bathroom on the plane. Now there's going to be a little sign that might not look exactly like this one, but it will show you, sometimes they're green and red. Green meaning that the bathroom is unoccupied or it is available for you to use. Red meaning that there's somebody in the bathroom, and so there's no reason to go over and walk over to the bathroom. And so those signs will help you to know when the bathroom is open and available for your use. Once inside, you'll see a little lever that looks like this. Make sure you slide the lever over to lock the bathroom, otherwise you might get a little bit of a surprise. And the bathroom's a little different in planes than they are at your house. You're going to want to close that lid before you flush, otherwise there's going to be liquid flying around and getting you wet from the toilet in there. Also, be sure that you wipe down the surface of the sink after you wash your hands, and of course wash your hands before you leave the bathroom. There's